Hello, and welcome to HBO's Succession, the analysis of a toxic family system, with Mandy Friedman, licensed professional clinical counsellor, and Andrew, her brother.
Hi, Mandy Friedman here, licensed professional clinical counselor, clinically certified domestic violence counselor, clinically certified trauma professional level 2, and the creator of SNAP, Survivors of Narcissistic and Abusive Personalities. And we are back talking about HBO's Succession with my brother, Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Mandy. I'm excited to talk about Roman, my favorite character on Succession, and what kind of shenanigans he gets up to in season 3 of the show. At the beginning of season 3, Roman is trying again for the CEO job, but he makes a call to Logan and he's not very confident, right? And Logan reacts to that poorly.
He does. At the beginning of the conversation, he's very open to the idea that Roman might make a good CEO. But as Roman is talking to his dad, he kind of wriggles a little bit. He shrinks down a little bit. He loses some of his confidence and he says, I think I could do it. I think I could. And then he says, but Jerry would make a good one too. And the second Logan gets off the phone, he says, Roman's out. Just like that. That's all it takes. It showed weakness on Roman's part that he didn't enter that conversation with full confidence.
So because of this, Roman will not be CEO, and it turns out that Jerry actually is going to be the interim CEO, which will come up again later. Logan still needs Roman as a flying monkey, though, so he reels him back in by saying that, well, it's just Jerry for today. Just has to be her for today, right?
Logan's big manipulative move that he uses with his kids constantly is future faking. He does it all the time. So even though he just said Roman's out, he'll act like that it's still a possibility for Roman if that keeps Roman in his orbit and leaving Roman to be that flying monkey for him.
Roman follows the other children, Shiv and Kendall, to Rava's, where Kendall has his nerve center, and he's, trying to take over the world. Roman speaks to the kids, and they kind of abuse him a little bit, and Kendall says that Roman likes the abuse.
Shiv got a little mean. She was making fun of Roman and his sexual problems. And then that made Roman leave the room. And then Shiv said, did I take it too far? And Kendall's like, nah, he likes it. And remember, we were talking about the dog pound game that they would play by putting Roman in a dog kennel and then twisting that around, saying that he actually liked it and would ask for it. So that's what they do to Roman, is when they abuse him, they make it okay by saying that he enjoys it, that he's some sort of a masochist that invites it and likes it.
There are many interesting things that happen between the children in this season, but mostly we're going to focus on Roman's relationship with Logan, because that's kind of the most important one. There's a really, really interesting scene where Logan is getting off of an airplane, and his children are there to meet him. Now, we talked about it where Shiv wasn't there to meet him. She's waiting in the car. But Roman is, right?
Roman in this season gives a couple of opportunities for PR stunts for his dad. He pretty much will do anything for his dad. In this moment, they're on the tarmac, and of course there's press there, and they're doing this for the photos. Logan does one of these to Roman, like this kind of joking boxing thing, and then they hug. And, I get that there's a sport, boxing is a sport, and that fighting is a sport, but that isn't love. That's not affection. It's actually violence. So the fact that this is the loving touch of the father is this sort of what would you call it, like a reenactment of a fake fight, when they really actually fight. And Logan has punched those kids, and they've punched each other in a way, even though they were just kind of kidding and doing that whole toxic masculinity thing. Hey, take one on the chin kind of thing. The symbolism there, I just couldn't pass up, because they're not playing. It's actually real.
Roman has to give an interview, all right? And he's prepping for this interview, and they want to ask him all kinds of like feel-good questions about his dad.
This is another great example of Roman doing something uncomfortable for his dad and putting on that glossy photo for the outside world. But the person who was filming the interview and producing the interview was trying to, get the ball rolling with some questions. What is something special you and your dad enjoy doing together? Nope. Okay. What was a time that your dad came to your aid when you really needed him? Nope. Okay. What is your most cherished father-son memory? Nope. So the guy just kind of gives up, and then he asks, is there a story you would like to tell? Roman gets into this dissociative sort of detached state that he gets into when he's dealing with issues about his dad and his childhood and his relationship with his dad. And he kind of shuts down, but he mumbles very quickly this story about a fishing trip to Montana, and then he just walks out of the room. Well, this might be a good moment to talk about, just briefly, attachment and how each of us have our own ways that we have attached or not attached to parental figures or to important relationships in our lives. And there's different versions of attachment. And you can see those versions of attachment coming out in the children. So, for example, we would say that Roman has anxious attachment. He's avoidant at the same time because he avoids the realities of it, but it's the anxiousness of is daddy hurt? Is daddy okay? Does daddy know I'm alive? Does daddy care about me? And anxiously needing that connection with father. Now you could see Kendall is being more avoidantly attached. He doesn't give a shit if his dad's pleased with him or not, although he does deep down, clearly. But the way his surface level interactions are, it's like they're in this war. They're doing this to each other, and that makes that's their relationship. But with Roman, we'll see this season, we see it in season 4, that this interesting combination of avoidance of the reality, but yet anxious attachment with his father.
So Kendall has this whole negative campaign that he's trying to take over Waystar Royco. The children are going to fight against that for their father. So Shiv drafts this nasty letter, and this is after he had, Kendall had attacked her at the town hall and all this stuff. So she is going to get revenge with this letter, but this letter has a lot of truth in it, and Roman decides not to sign it. We've already talked about that in a different episode. The important part is Logan's reaction to Roman not signing it.
There's a scene where it gets brought up, and what Roman says to Logan is, hey, I'm sorry I didn't sign the letter. And Logan says to him, keeping your nose out of it, eh? Smart cookie, huh? Again, we see that self-interest is rewarded. He's getting positive reinforcement for thinking about his own personal position. Like Jerry always tells him, how does this benefit my personal position here? And that's what he's doing in this moment. He's saying, I didn't sign it because I didn't like the way it looked on me, and it didn't do anything for me, so I didn't sign it. And Logan's like, interesting, like I'm almost impressed by that. But then Logan brings up the interview, and the way that he talks to Roman about this is so cruel and cold and belittling. He goes something like, oh, do you love your daddy? Like, what the fuck? How cruel. And it's like he knows the psychology of his own children so well. He knows how to abuse them. It's almost like it's an art form. Connor took him fishing, not his father. So his father wasn't even around. It was something he shared with his brother. So he had to make that up. He did that for his dad. He triggered himself. He was triggered, went against his feelings. He went, no. And okay, fishing, bye. He put himself through that for his father, and then his father makes fun of it. But you know what? In their world, that was his father saying thank you.
When he's making fun of him, that's the love language, right? That's how they communicate. And so Roman, we see it so many times in the show when, they're just ripping on each other in ways that are so hurtful. But that's how they show love. One of the most bizarre things that happens in this season is that they're trying to dig up a bunch of dirt on Kendall because he's attacking Logan, right? So they want to get the dirt on him and something that's really going to embarrass him. So Roman remembers something that Kendall did to an unhoused man many years before. What was it that they did?
They paid the unhoused man to tattoo Kendall's initials on his forehead. But when they found the man, he had the tattoo removed. But they needed pictures of it because they wanted to smear campaign Kendall. So when they finally met with the man, Roman's like looking at him and going, and he's like looking for the tattoo. It's been removed and the guy has bangs kind of covering it up. And he's like, I'm sorry, I can't quite see it. Do you have any pictures of it when you actually did have it? And they're really objectifying this man who already has been through a lot because of Kendall and what he did. And now they're objectifying him again and trying to use him as a pawn. The first time was just for their entertainment and enjoyment. This time they're using him as leverage to fight each other. And they don't give a shit about how it hurts him or causes him problems. Roman even says, how much do you want for the pictures? Like, just cut the bullshit. How about $1 million? And he winds up with the pictures. So they pay the unhoused man $1 million for these photos.
And this is blackmail that they don't even end up using. As we talked about, Roman's problem with his father is that he cannot see his father in a bad place. He can't see his father as mortal, right? It really affects him. So we have a big scene where Roman is defending Logan's poor choices while Logan is having his piss mad episode, right?
Roman has to leave the room and says, come get me when he's a little less scary. But he's passed out. Not when he's less scary, mean, abusive, punching people, yelling at people. That we can handle. But him passing out and being weak or in a weakened state, the reminder that dad is a human and that humans all pass away, he can't even be in the same room.
I remember when I was a kid, there was a movie called E.T. And there's a certain part in the movie where E.T. is very sick. And it scared the shit out of me as a kid. I couldn't see chalky E.T., you know what I mean, without crying. So I was like Roman in that moment, very much so. But Roman's mother's getting married, and he learns this from a stranger.
A stranger shows Roman their invite. So not only does he not know about it, other people have invitations. And the third kick in the teeth is it's to a stranger that he doesn't even know and has never met or never even heard of. Getting married, wasn't invited, strangers know, new stepdad is also a stranger.
This family's not close, But Roman has kind of an interesting political situation in this season too. He is put in a situation where he has to be on the phone with the president, and he botches it totally. All right, it goes very poorly, so much so that it ruins the entire presidential election. That's how important these people are, these unserious people. But that leads to them being at a right-wing political party summit. And this is where they're maybe going to choose who's going to take the president's place, all right? Roman is behind this guy named Mencken, who is an avatar for someone we may know, that's running for political office right now. And he is behind him, even though it's clear that this man is evil and bad for everyone around him.
Roman doesn't give a shit about things, that's one of his things he's proud of, is that he is flippant and callous. And he's the one that when they had the little boy come and hit the home run, and if you hit a home run, you get $1 million, he got off on that. He thought that was fun. He's also received that kind of abuse. So when he doles it out, it's almost like, again, it's like, this is just how we enter and navigate relationships, is by competing and bringing each other down. But yeah, he's definitely fine with Mencken being, a white supremacist Nazi freakazoid that is really bad for everyone and evil. But, rich people are more interested in what that political candidate is going to do for them. And they're not concerned with how that political candidate is going to affect like regular old people, not real people. Right. So the not real people don't matter. When Shiv speaks up and tries to tell Roman, I mean, there has to be a line, right? She said this a couple of times, like, no, like that guy's evil. He's like not good for anyone. And Roman says, you have a trophy husband and several fur coats. I think you'll be fine.
She's actually thinking about other people. She's putting the world before business in this situation, which is unacceptable in this family.
It is. So. But right now, I would say that Shiv starts to become that voice of reason a little bit more and more. She's been trying to be the voice of reason. But for the audience, for us watching, if you start paying attention to Shiv right now, it's almost like she's the canary in the coal mine a little bit. Like if it's too much for her, then maybe this is the line, perhaps. That's even fair. Though her father said there is no line. There has to be a line.
Well, Roman makes it weird with Jerry. He has been sending her inappropriate photos of his Johnson for quite some time. And, she kind of thinks maybe it's time to stop because she has a boyfriend now. But tell me, Mandy, how does Roman turn that around? Normally, if you're sent an unsolicited nude photo, you might be the one that's offended.
Roman is offended that Jerry doesn't want them. Yeah. It must
that is outrageous. Do you think that his relationship with Jerry, an older woman, has anything to do with his relationship with his mother?
I have to get back with you on that one. It's a tough one.
We do find out that Roman's kind of freaked out about this new fiance of his mother's, right? He might just be in this for the money, but why would he care about that? You know what I mean? You think he's jealous a little bit?
Yeah, he's jealous, but he's also being protective, which is interesting. But yeah, the idea of mommy getting married again and him not knowing who it is, and Jerry now has a boyfriend. So basically the main girlfriends in his life, they are choosing other men right now. So, he's kind of squirmy.
He's abandoned, poor guy.
Yeah, there's some abandonment going on.
He should widen that net with the nude photos. We'll talk about that. Maybe that'll happen. So, so we're back at Waystar, and Roman is being trusted by Logan to kind of read the situation with Madsen. But he doesn't necessarily read it well. Right in the middle of all this, his net is widened.
For the dick pics?
Correct.
Indeed. Roman is feeling so pleased with himself that Daddy's listening to him. Daddy's taking his, perspective seriously. He's feeling like he's a real player at the table. And so in his celebration, he sends a dick pic to Jerry. But it gets sent to his dad by mistake, and they're all sitting around the conference table together. Oh, it's so hard to watch. And then Logan's like, he gets up and says, I need a minute. Walks away.
This leads to a big blow up from Logan. He's screaming and everything.
Roman!
Jesus. Logan and Roman have a father to son conversation about sex. Can you describe this for us?
While Logan is talking to Roman about Roman's sexual proclivities, they're looking at Carrie, who at this time, Logan is already doing it with Carrie, who's like 50 years younger than him. And so we know that Logan has his own sexual issues, right? But yet we're going to talk about Roman's sexual problems. And Logan says to Roman, see, now that's a good looking woman, talking about Carrie. Roman seems underwhelmed. So what is it, son? Are you scared of pussy? Is it all screens or up the ass with you or what? If you need to get straightened out, get straightened out. I don't want to know.
Well, what does get straightened out mean, too? Is that, it's like, let's hit some conversion therapy, something like that, I think is what he would imagine that being,
Right. Kendall goes away to rehab. He's got problems. Now Roman has this set of problems. And Logan's not stupid. Logan can see why the kids are the way that they are, but he can't acknowledge it because that would mean acknowledging that he played a part in it, so he pretends like it's not there, but he knows. And him confronting Roman about Roman's issues with this hypocrisy right there in front of our faces. Keep in mind that kind of audacious hypocrisy is an indicator of a cluster B personality disorder. When someone is so audaciously hypocritical, Be Best anti-bullying campaign from the wife of the biggest bully on the world stage that we can see right now on our television screens. That was some years back, but that's an example of someone who has family values, but also pees on sex workers and pays people hush money, and has them sign, do not disclose agreements.
It's always the friend of yours who hates thieves that steals from you, right? It's always the guy that runs around and goes, I don't like thieves. I'll kill a thief, and then
or the person that says that gay people don't deserve to have the same freedoms and privileges that we have, but secretly they're into gay porn.
Right.
They're the closeted gay person, self-loathing gay person. I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Gay people are evil. I'm a good Christian. I'm not gay. And it's like, oh, dude's into gay porn.
What do you know?
Clearly, and so Logan's doing that right now, this audacious hypocrisy. He's making a poor choice by interacting with Carrie the way that he is. And we'll see later how that, turns out, which is really funny. In the meantime, he's giving Roman the most fatherly talking to that we see come from Roman. And don't forget that Jerry is also someone older that he is attracted to. So Logan likes young people. Roman likes older people. Yeah, this family is pretty fucked up. I mean, when it comes down to it, that's why we're doing this show about the show, is that it gives us all kinds of really great sick examples all wrapped up into one lovely family.
And we leave Logan and Roman as they talk about dick pics and all the wonderful things in their lives and go to meet up with Madsen. And, we're going to pick back up with our next episode. Mandy, who are we going to talk about next?
Next, we're going to talk about Connor. And Connor has some really funny scenes this season, including in the episode called Too Much Birthday. I can't wait. I like Connor. He's hilarious. And he is making his political rise right now. I think this also is something that is a reflection of things that are happening in our society, that, any old person, can just be in a position of power with no history or knowledge or experience that would make you good at that job. But because you are rich and powerful, you are entitled to have power over others. And Connor's a good example of that.
Well, this was a great conversation,
as always. And we will see you next time. Thank you for watching or listening. Goodbye.
This has been HBO's Succession, an analysis of a toxic family system.